Okay, cool. Hi, guys. My name is Raven, just like the bird. I am a first year advisor here at Wichita State University, specifically in our one-stop office. So, our one-stop office is kind of built into two different pieces. So, we have first year advising, which is me. That's the human that helps you pick your first schedule. We help you transition to college. We do a lot of back and forth picking your classes, things like that. But then the other side of it is the one-stop side of it. So, we're all also trained as one-stop
Yes, yeah.
specialists. And what that means is we're also trained to help answer questions on a variety of other topics as well. So not just first year advising, but also admissions, advising things, financial aid, records, registration, student accounts, which is just the fancy word for billing. Really, we're kind of your first stop here at Wichita State, but you also can ask us questions throughout your entire journey here, because we are trained to answer all of them. So, hey. Okay, cool. So I like to give you a face to the name that you either have heard from by now or will be hearing from here soon. So this is our first year advising team. So just in order, you have Kelsey Abendroth. She does the College of Education as well as Health Professions Exercise Science. So she does take that one major from Health Professions off of my plate, which is super, super nice. Then you have Michelle Turnus, who is for the Barton School of Business, Constantine Gartelos for engineering, specifically last names A through L. Monica Bergkamp, his other half in engineering, last names M through Z. Elia Ortega for liberal arts and sciences, last names A through L. Her other half, Kendra Brooks for liberal arts and sciences, last names M through Z. Me for health professions. And then Miss Ellen Sadarshan for our fine arts majors. So that's your team. Like I said, really our job is to help you transition to college, to help you build your first schedule. So to get kind of started in that schedule building process, really step one is RSVPing for orientation. So when you go to pick your day for orientation, at the very, very end of that, you'll also get to the enrollment questionnaire. The entire process for RSVPing for orientation and filling out the questionnaire should take around 20 to 30, maybe 45 minutes, depending on how in depth you get with it. But we highly encourage you to take your time filling out that questionnaire because it's going to ask you a lot of questions. So it's going to ask you what classes you liked in school, what you didn't like, if you have transfer credits that we should be aware of, AP, IB, ACT scores, SAT scores, preferences for when you want classes or when you don't want classes. So it's going to ask you a lot of information. Then what's going to happen is that enrollment questionnaire is going to be sent to your first year advisor, so someone like myself. We're going to review all of that information, and then when we see that you have specific things like ACT scores or transfer work, we're going to reach back out to you and say, hey, I saw that you said that you have these things. We need some documentation before we move forward. Then you send us whatever documentation we're looking for, whether that's unofficial transcripts, screenshots of your test scores, screenshots of your registration, anything like that. And then we build your first schedule for you. So we take the work out of actually looking at what's available and looking at days and times, and we build your schedule for you. Now, we don't make the assumption that the first schedule we build is perfect, so we do send it back to you as the student to review and let us know what you think. So from that point, once you receive that email that says, hey friend, your schedule is built, you have about 10 business days to either accept your schedule and tell someone like me, hey Raven, looks good, I have no issues, or hey Raven, I see you put me in an 8 a.m. class, I don't really love that, can we change it? Either way, though, you have 10 business days to make a decision. If you don't make a decision on that schedule within 10 days, you are dropped from all the classes, and we make no promises that we can get them back. So even if you have questions, or even if you have changes you'd like to see, or even if you just aren't sure, just decline the schedule and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Hey, I need time, whatever that may be, so we don't lose those classes we already built for you. A couple other things just about the questionnaire. If you already know that you have documentation, we're going to need like ACT scores, transcripts for transfer work, stuff like that. You can go ahead and send those to your advisor or the one-stop office in general. And then when we get to your questionnaire, we already have all that documentation and we can jump right into building your schedule. Okay, so I know that was a lot, a lot of information in a very short amount of time. Really, your biggest step is just RSVP for orientation and fill out that questionnaire, and then your advisor will walk you through the process from that point on. If you have any questions, you aren't sure how to start the RSVP, you already did, but you need to make changes, anything like that, please reach out to our office. We are available 24/7-ish. We have agents that can answer questions, but we also have advisors Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So if you have a question, let us know. The other big piece about your RSVP for orientation that Aaron will probably go over is making sure your major is accurate. So you will have noticed when we talk through our first year advising team that we're all based out of what your major is or what college you're in. So if you go to start that RSVP in that questionnaire and it says you're a different major than what you're intending, just pause, connect with admissions or connect with us, and we'll get your major updated. And then you'll continue that process so that we make sure you get in the right orientation group and with the right advisor from the gate. So we don't have a lot of back and forth. We can just get you to the right humans you need the first time, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, I talk really, really fast. If you have questions, please ask. I'm here to help. You can ask them now in the chat. I think out loud. I don't think Quinn has an issue with that. Or if you want to wait until the very, very end to ask your questions, I will stick around. But otherwise, that's kind of your next big step for getting registered. Welcome to Wichita State.
Hmm. Alrighty, yo, I am next. Well, good evening to all the Shocker students, parents, supporters. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Aidan, and I'm Assistant Director of Student Success leading our first year programs team, which means that I lead the team that you get to connect with at freshman orientation this summer. Next slide. Thank you. So freshman orientation. There's a lot to talk about here, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. Freshman orientation really is all about connections. So connections to other students who are in your academic college, connections to resources on our campus, connections to our campus. If you never visited our campus before, we're going to introduce you to a lot of our Shocker traditions here. You're also going to connect with our success teams, which are all the individuals who will be helping you from the moment that you attend orientation all the way through your graduation. Folks like your first year advisor, like Raven, who just spoke. And you also hear from student engagement and belonging. So you'll hear about our intramural sports, all of the various organizations and free events to you all to get involved on our campus. You also spend some quality time with your first year advisor, and you will also learn about the basics of the Shocker technology we have here, that being a Blackboard and also a powerful app that you'll learn more about in the summer called Navigate 360. So for all the parents and guests also on the call, during our freshman orientation, we have a track that's for our students, and we also have a parent and guest and supporter track. So if you're wanting to learn more about how to stay connected with your students, college journey, learn more about our Shocker family programs, and overall just stay more connected with our campus, we highly recommend that you do come to freshman orientation with your student. Like I said, it will be a completely separate track, but it will be the same time as the freshman student track. Every year we have over 1,000 Shocker parents and supporters come, so I really wish I will see you all this summer. We also have a Spanish family program. So we have 2 days out of the summer where we introduce all of the parent and guest information in solely Spanish. So if you or your family would benefit from attending our Spanish family program, I highly recommend you attend and join us on June 12th or July 20th. You're also led by transition mentors. You might know them by orientation leaders. They're pictured here in this slide. And these are student leaders who are within your academic college, so same academic discipline, who are upperclassmen, are able to answer any kind of questions that you might have, and talk to them about your experiences, or their experiences. Now that's freshman orientation, but specifically talking about the freshman orientation requirement. So as Raven mentioned, the first step is RSVPing for freshman orientation and also completing that enrollment questionnaire. Here in a few slides, I'm gonna actually click along with you so you see what that process looks like. Step two, next Friday, actually, you all will be added to our pre-orientation modules experience. This is something that you're automatically enrolled into. It's free, and it's within Blackboard, which is actually where all of your classes will be housed once you start classes here at WSU. So the goal of the pre-orientation is really just give you another brief introduction to the university and make sure that you are coming to orientation with specific questions, and we're able to focus more orientation with connections rather than content. In step three, your final step in completing your freshman orientation requirement is just attending the orientation session that you actually had signed up for. Now, orientation, there is a fee tied to orientation. It is $150 for students and $30 per guest. This is something that is not something you pay in advance. It's actually tied to your first fall bill at the university. So this is also not something that's added to your tuition fee until after you complete it. So this is not something you have to come in ready to pay. It's something that's going to be added to your fall billing. And we can skip these next two slides. I think we only have first year freshmen here. Okay, so let's sign up for orientation. For all of you who have not signed up for orientation, the first step will be going to wichita.edu/orientation and follow along this pink arrow and sign up for orientation. The next step, you are going to click on freshman. If you're a freshman, you will just click on that. From there, you get a little blurb. Congratulations to being admitted to WSU. And you will be clicking on the RCP for orientation here. But on that same website at wichita.edu/orientation, if you scroll down right below it says where it says RSP for orientation, you'll find more additional information about orientation. So if you have questions about the fees, if you have questions about what dates are still available, what your actual schedule will look like, or versus parent and guest schedule, accessibility and different accommodations we can do at freshman orientation, and also some frequently asked questions. So there's a lot of good information there. Highly recommend if you have not learned or heard much about freshman orientation now to go ahead and check that out. Again, it's at wichita.edu/orientation. So now that we talked about the page, we're going to go ahead and click on RCP for orientation. It's going to take you to this beautiful screen with a lot of information that we can read at a different time, and we'll click begin. So, as Raven mentioned, it is really, really important that before you continue in this process, that you are the major that pops up for you whenever you log in is your same intended major. So, and if you think it's incorrect or if you have changed your major, the easiest way to get that taken care of is by emailing the registrar's office at majorchange@wichita.edu. But you can also contact admissions or also One Stop. So you can do, as I mentioned, email majorchange@wichita.edu, or you can also contact admissions or One Stop to help you out. So once you have the correct major, assuming that the major is correct, you can click acknowledge. From here, we're going to ask for some emergency contact information just in case something happens in orientation. We want to be sure to be able to reach out to the person that can best help you. So you input your emergency contact information. From there, it's going to take you to the various dates that we still have available throughout the summer. So click on whichever date you think will work best for your schedule. Right below that, it's going to ask if you have any additional needs that we can help prepare for, things as physical assistance, if you require a vegetarian or vegan meal, things of that sort. After that, you'll have the option to indicate how many guests will be attending orientation with you. I recommend that you RSVP any guests you think that might come. At the end of the day, if they don't end up coming, we won't be charging you for the additional guests. We would only charge for the additional guests if they do actually end up coming to orientation. So if you think that they might come, go ahead and RSVP them, just so you don't have to give us some extra phone calls. Also, we want to respect your privacy. So if you do not feel comfortable, we'll be taking lots of pictures and videos at orientation. And if you don't feel comfortable being a part of those pictures, please just click I do not agree to be a part of the online media and social media posts, and we will respect that at freshman orientation. Lastly, we will ask you if you have a preferred name for your name tag at orientation, and then you can click continue, and you will get a nice confirmation screen. And congrats, you RSVP'd for orientation. As Raven mentioned, right after you complete the freshman orientation RCP, you will be directed to the enrollment questionnaire. So please remember to continue and complete that second step. Some frequently asked questions. Is freshman orientation required? Yes, it is a requirement for all of our first year students here at WSU. You're required to attend the full day experience, which includes checking into the program as well as checking out of the program. Another question we frequently get is if parents or guests are required to attend freshman orientation. It's not a requirement for parent and guests and supporters to attend, but we do highly encourage it. We do have a lot of conversations about the transition process and support systems, not only for your student, but also as you as a supporter and different ways to stay connected year round. And if you, for any reason, need to change your orientation date or you're having any issues trying to RCP for orientation, you can always call the Office of First Year Programs at the phone number there, and also easily email us at firstperiodyear@wichita.edu. Cannot speak, but they're on the slides. And like I said, this is all for the Office of First Year Programs. So if you have any questions about orientation, please give us a call, give us an email. And I highly recommend that you follow us on Instagram at NewShocks. Also, my name is Zaydan, and I'm really excited to see you all at freshman orientation this summer. And if y'all have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and I will get to them shortly.
All right, everyone's still hanging in there? Lots of information tonight. My name is Hannah, and I am the occupancy specialist over in housing and residence life. So we look forward to having you all live on campus this semester. One of the biggest things that, after you've been admitted, after you've done orientation, is time to think about housing and where you will be living for the academic year. So the first step in, obtaining your room and your spot in campus housing is submitting an application. For all academic years, our applications open on October 1st. So it seems early, but we have a few different deadlines throughout there. But for the purpose of, kind of where we're at in the process, I'm just going to go forward from now. One thing that you will want to know is that we refer to applications as completed applications. So in order for you to have a completed app, you need to sign the contract, and then you need to pay the $75 application fee. And then there is also a $200 prepayment. That prepayment goes towards your actual bill. So if you decide to cancel or your plans change, you do have the opportunity to get that $200 back. One big thing to note, also, sorry, on that last slide, is the meningitis form. Our office, we kind of facilitate that, but that is through student health services. So before you get to campus, we will need some sort of documentation or waiver for the meningitis vaccine. So yeah, next slide, please. So where to apply for housing, there's a couple different spots. The first one is through your My WSU portal, and then you're just going to click campus housing, and it will redirect you to our housing portal where everything is housed. So you can either access it there or access it on the main page of our Housing and Residence Life website. So what you're looking for when you're in there is that, big top left apply for housing button. One thing to note, once you hit that apply, we do have several applications that might be open at one time. So you do want to make sure that you are selecting the correct application and continuing through that process. We try and make, the dates and everything apparent. So what you all will be looking for is academic year 2026-27, and then you just hit continue, and that'll get you started in the actual app. So there are 8 steps in completing your application. It seems daunting, but a lot of them are pretty quick and ask minimal information. So we kind of start with just getting, your personal details. The next part is going through our housing resources. So if you need certain accommodations, or if you're interested in gender neutral housing, that's the page where you will indicate to us. The next 2 are probably some of our most important ones: the emergency and missing person contact information, and then the FERPA approval. I have a little screen grab of the FERPA approval page there. FERPA in housing is kind of like HIPAA in the medical sense. So if you don't have anyone listed on your FERPA proxy approval list, we are not allowed to give any information out unless they are on that list. So if your mom calls, asking questions about certain billing things, and then she's not listed on that page, we cannot legally give any information out to her. So this issue kind of comes up often, so I want to make that apparent to you all. If you want to put, your parents, your guardian, someone you trust there that you are willing to give information out to if they ask, this is a screen to do it. We verify every phone call, every email that those persons are listed there. So be sure, out of any page, be sure to list them here. And then there's a criminal history page. And then the financial aid aspect of the application, it's not set in stone. So if you just want to, check all that you think applies at that time, and if it changes later, it's not a huge deal. We just kind of like having that for our records. And then finally, the last part of the application is signing the actual contract. Please be sure that you are reading through the contract, kind of knowing what the expectations are of you and what you can expect of my team in housing as a whole. It gives a lot of good guidelines, deadlines, and just information about kind of living on campus. So after that contract is signed, then you get to complete your personal profile. The personal profile part of this is really important when it comes to room selection. So we ask a series of different questions that help you possibly match with future roommates. As we get in the room selection part of it all, you'll be able to look at other people's profiles, see what they say, see if it matches up to yours, and if you would be, a compatible match in terms of being roommates with each other. So filling out the application can, seem overwhelming once you kind of get into it. So you can always save where you're at and come back to it. The nice thing about our apps is it tells you exactly where you're at in the process, if your application has been completed, or kind of what the next steps are. So definitely save it, come back to it. It'll save where you're at in line. Okay, so that was the application section. Right now, we have started our room selection process for incoming students for the upcoming academic year. So I wanted to kind of just touch on what you can expect when you enter that process. So our room selection is on a first come, first serve basis. So the sooner you get your application in, the sooner you'll be in the room selection process. So it's all based off of when you have completed your application. We do it a la carte style. You'll see what room options are available in the buildings that are applicable to you. And then from there, you can see different floor plans, how many people are booked into that space. One thing to note is we do have 2 first-year residence halls. We have Shocker Hall and the Suites. We also have the Flats, which is reserved for upperclassmen. So Shocker Hall is kind of the hub of all things new students. That's where the dining hall is located. We do have, a lot of events that are held in the courtyard there. It's super close to the RSC. And we also have just a wide variety of room types there at different price ranges. So that's something to keep in mind as you're looking and, kind of seeing what's available. The Suites is one of our smaller buildings, so it fills up pretty quickly. So if you're kind of, have that building in mind, I would highly recommend to get your application in as soon as possible. But otherwise, we will have space to fit everyone, and we look forward to having everyone on campus. Next slide, I think it's just Q&A. Perfect. That's our contact information. Definitely feel free to reach out at any step of the process if you have any questions, if you're hung up on something, if you're confused. Our team is happy to help. And I understand that it can be an overwhelming process. So anything you might need, just give us a holler.
Hi guys, my name is Amanda Duffy and I'm one of the financial aid advisors here at Wichita State. We're glad to have you and congrats on your admission. So my goal today is not to make you an expert in financial aid, but to make sure you leave knowing what matters right now and where to go if questions come up. So we are the office that gives you more. So please bear with me as I give you more information tonight. Thank you guys. So we're going to cover three main things tonight. We're going to go over what your aid offer is, your dashboard, your financial aid dashboard, and a quick timeline. So your aid offer, what it actually tells you, it's an estimate of the types of financial aid you're eligible for, such as grants, scholarships, loans, and even possibly work study. You'll also see an estimated cost of attendance, which includes things like tuition, housing, and books. The most important thing to remember is this is not your bill. It's based on the information we have right now, and it can change if your FAFSA changes or if documents are added to your requirements that we need from you, or if your situation changes. What your aid offer does not tell you, it's your final bill amount. Also, it doesn't show future year aid because financial aid is reviewed 1 year at a time. And it doesn't account for personal choices like where you live or how many books you'll buy. So after actual bills will come later, mid-July, after you register for classes and choose housing and meal plans. And that is why we really emphasize you thinking of your offer as a planning tool, not the final cost though. The types of aid we're going to talk about are free, earned, and borrowed. All financial aid falls into these three big categories. First is gift aid, like scholarships and grants. This is free money that does not need to be paid back. Yay! Second is earned or saved money, like work study, part-time job, or savings. And the third is borrowed aid, which includes student and parent loans that must be repaid. Understanding these categories helps you and your family make informed decisions about the finances and how to finance your gap at college. So, what to do next? Your next steps are housed in your financial aid dashboard, which is in with your My.issue portal by selecting the My Finances tab. It's also where you will review and accept your aid. Our biggest piece of advice is to check your dashboard regularly and complete items as soon as possible so your aid does stay on track. Quick note regarding release of information through FERPA. We already covered this, but again, it's worth its repeat. Students may grant parent access by setting up a proxy in My.issue. Access is student controlled and optional. And you can go to wichita.edu/proxy for the student to set up the proxy. If one is not set up or a passphrase isn't listed, I can't give you the information that you're requesting as a parent or proxy. Requirements. So here's an example. If you go back one slide, sorry, Quinn. Requirements. Here's an example of what your dashboard might look like. So this is where you'll see if we need anything from you, such as your final high school transcript, documents, or if you need to make corrections to your FAFSA. Make sure on the right side and the top right column or area, you have the 26-27 academic year selected, because if not, you're looking at the wrong year. You'll see required items listed clearly along with your estimated awards. If something is marked requested or incomplete, that is your cue to take action, please. You don't need to memorize this screen, but just remember this is your main hub for financial aid. With the word letter offer example, what we want you to do is to view your financial aid offer, you'll select the offer tab within your financial aid dashboard. Scroll past the estimated billable and non-billable cost to see your grants, scholarships, and loans for that academic year. For grants and scholarships, you'll choose to either accept or decline. Some are accepted automatically while others aren't. So it's important to review and make sure your free aid is accepted. I mean, it's free money. Let's make it rain even more. But for loans, you have three options. You need to accept, modify, or decline. Loan decisions aren't permanent and can be adjusted using the Update My Aid Decision request in your My Finances tab for the term you want to change. But just know the accept means you want the full amount of financial aid of loans. Modify says, hey, I want the loan, but I want to tell financial aid how much of that loan I want. And then, of course, decline is you don't want them. We will respect any and all three. Also on this one, just be sure to save and submit your decisions so that they are applied to your account. Next is timeline. With this, the timeline shows when things typically happen. April is when Scholarship Universe and FAFSA priority deadlines matter most. By May, you'll want to be accepting your scholarships as well as your final high school transcript submitted to Wichita State to the undergrad admissions office, please. And by midsummer, mid-July, bills will become available after enrollment decisions are made. And you can reach out to accounts receivable to inquire about WSU's payment plan and how to sign up for authorized user. As an institution, we don't offer institutional loans, but we do offer semester by semester payment plans that are interest free. They're the ones that manage that. We just also help promote it. But if you have questions, contact accounts receivable. Please also discuss costs often and early as a family, better now than the first week of classes. Apply for community scholarships, save money for books, laptop, housing, and food because they do come up. It's adulting. We've all been there. But financial aid is a process and it unfolds over time. So seeing changes doesn't mean something's wrong. It just means, hey, we might need a few more things from you to finalize that aid. And finally, you're never expected to figure this out alone. And so our contact information is next. And we want you to know we're here for you by phone, online, or in person 24/7 as well. We also have agents that assist us as well. If you prefer one-on-one help, you can schedule an appointment with us using the link shown on the screen, wichita.edu/finaid, so ask questions now and save stress for later, or just not having it all if you just get it done now. And we're always happy to help with any questions you may have. And we just want you to know whenever you have questions, just reach out to ask the questions. And thank you for spending your time with us today. We want to welcome you again to Wichita State, and we're happy to have you.
Thanks, Amanda. All right, this is the last slide we have for you this evening. Feel free to follow our admissions accounts if you want to be kept up to date or if you just want to see new information or what our students are up to. These are our social media handles, but this is the end of our formal presentation. So now we can open it up to any questions you may have that have not been answered tonight.
Hey, Quinn. I'm gonna go back to a couple questions that were asked in the chat quite a while ago. Just for some clarification, because I think it's a common question that we get a lot, is I'm coming in with transfer work from dual credit classes, AP classes, etc., which makes me a sophomore by status. How does that affect my process? And the quick answer is it really doesn't. So you're still going to be deemed a first year student. So while you might be classified as a sophomore, you're still going to go through the first year process because it's still your first year at a college institution. So even though you might be coming in with some transfer work, if you're coming straight from high school to Wichita State, you're still going to be a first year student. So you're going to sign up for freshman orientation. You're going to go through the freshman enrollment process with my first year advising team, things like that. So we will note that you have transfer work and we'll create your schedule based on that. But as far as the process goes, you're a first year, you're a freshman.
Yeah, thank you for that, Raven. We get that question a lot as well. Housing as a freshman, can students live off campus being a Sedgwick County resident?
Yes, you sure can. So if you are a resident of the greater Sedgwick County area, you are not required to live on campus. Typically, what you'll do is you'll still log into the portal and then there'll be a button that says submit an exemption request. That just lets our team know that you don't plan on living on campus, and we'll make sure if you have any housing holds or anything like that on your account, we'll get those removed. And if you need a full list of what exemptions are to live off a campus, we do have those on our website in the FAQ section. We have about 10 different exemption reasons that you could, qualify for.
And when in doubt, just reach out to housing. They are happy to answer any and all questions.
Definitely.
Okay, we actually have some questions in regards to housing since we're on that topic.
Yeah.
Looking on the website for Shocker Housing, it says first year housing rates for academic year 26-27. It does kind of give a breakdown based off of room costs, but like if you were to go to look at the diagrams based off of the description of these rooms, I don't actually see all of these on the website. For example, the one that says triple in Shocker Hall, I actually don't see a diagram or a layout of that specific room on the website. So how do we kind of correlate what each one of these rooms looks like on a planogram if they're not on the website.
Sure, yeah. So if you are on the website, sorry, I'm looking here, so I can walk you through it. You'll just go to the little section menu and
Uh-huh.
hit your housing options,
Okay.
and then hit learn more next to Shocker Hall. And then on that page, you should see, it should say like floor plans,
Hmm.
rates, and then living learning communities. You'll just hit floor plans. And so immediately you'll see the different diagrams of each room. And underneath those in that gray rectangle, those are the actual like room type names that you'll see on that rates page. So if you scroll down a little bit, it should be kind of depending on what device you're looking on. It's underneath the additional Shocker Hall suite types. It says a triple. In the big text, it says 2 shared room, 1 bath suite.
Okay, so that's what that looks like. So a triple means that there's actually 3 people in a room.
Correct. Uh-huh.
Got
Yep.
you.
Our naming for our rooms is either a single, a double, or a triple. And that really just refers to how many beds are in that one specific room.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so my next question to follow up with that, um, my son's friend just got his acceptance today. He actually was going to go to a different college and change his mind last minute. They are wanting to room together. Now, we already have a spot in the portal for next Tuesday, so we can go ahead and choose our housing. What would we need to do to potentially save his name as somebody we would want in the room with him?
Yeah. So what you guys can do is actually create a roommate group. So once that student has their housing application fully completed, they can search each other in the room selection process and create a roommate group. The nice thing is your student has an earlier room selection time slot than the other student. So your student can go in, pick the room, and actually assign the bed spaces for them and the other student. And then when that student gets their room selection time slot, they can just go in and accept their booking.
Okay, so
So
but they have to, in order to do that, they have to be able to create the roommate group prior to next Tuesday.
yeah, that would be ideal. Your student can hold off and wait on picking a room until that student gets their application in. But once, your student, if they decide to go in and choose their own room without, creating that roommate group, they can't go back and create a roommate group if they have a booking already, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So this other student, if he goes ahead, what's the turnaround time typically when he applies for housing to get an approval?
So essentially, once they get their application, sign the contract and paid, it is like automatically approved. So as soon as those two steps are done, they can, just kind of on their own time create that roommate group, and then go through that room selection process.
And real quickly, can you tell me where that roommate group is located on the website? Or is
Yeah,
that
so you'll
how?
go into the academic year 26-27 application, and it should be that like it should redirect you once you hit continue. That should be the next screen that would appear for your student.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the chats here, and I think there's a couple for orientation. So the first orientation question is, when we sign up for orientation, his major is correct, but he also wants to do a minor. Do we need to stop and contact admissions before continuing, or how would we do that?
Good, good question. I'll refer the minor section to Raven. But in terms of your major, if your major is correct, you can keep going forward in the orientation RCP process.
And then thank you for that. And then the second orientation question is, I'll be enrolling as an online student. Does that change orientation in any way?
Yes, it varies. So if your major is fully online, you will have a different orientation experience. So this does not mean, if you're taking one online class or two online classes, if you're fully online for your full online degree, you will have a different orientation experience. I'm happy to drop a link more about that. But if you are just taking a few online classes and your full major is not online, you will still attend freshman orientation over this summer.
All right, there was another orientation or question about student orgs, but Logan answered it and Raven did. Thank you. If you have any additional questions on that, just ask. And then I think there's one about since the GPP program application is closed for fall of 2026, am I out of luck or how would that work? I believe, is that like a graduate program or am I missing a different acronym?
I can answer that one. It's a
Thank
nursing
you.
acronym. Yep.
Thank
So
you.
GPP stands for the Guaranteed Placement Program.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for those who may not know, it's essentially a way to apply to the nursing program as a high school student based on your high school GPA, your major, a couple of other things. As far as I know, the application for GPP should not be closed. You should be able to still apply for guaranteed placement. So if you're seeing that it's closed, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'll drop it in the chat here in just a second. But it should still be open. So you should still be able to apply. If you do miss it though, good news for you. They did just recently decide that GPP would be extended to first year college students as well. So if for some reason you do miss out on it as a high school senior, you can still apply in your first year here at Wichita State as long as you meet the specific requirements that they refer to. I'll drop my email. If you have other questions about it, please let me know, but it should still be open. Oh, and Quinn, to backtrack about the minor question for orientation, like Aaron said, you can go ahead and just keep going through the RSVP. When you get to the questionnaire portion of it, there will be a question that asks, do you want to add a minor? Just make sure you include that in that spot, and then your advisor will make sure that they keep that in mind as they're building your schedule and your timeline for Wichita State.
Thank you. All right, I think we're for the most part caught up on questions. I'm hoping we just had a question saying if I plan to join the military after the summer, what would that look like? I'm assuming that's more on enrollment side of questions. I don't know if Raven, you have insight on that.
Um, It depends. It really just depends. So it depends on when you decide to join, when you head for basic training, and things of that nature. So if you've already started at Wichita State, there's some backtracking we could do. If you haven't started, then that might be a Quinn question about moving admissions. What I'd say is just go through your steps like normal, but make sure you're keeping everyone looped in about you wanting to join the military so that we can be proactive in adjusting your schedule if needed, things like that.
We also have an office on campus called the Office of Military and Veteran Services. I know there's a lot of things that go with either being like active or a dependent. There's lots of paperwork that goes with it, and that's handled through their office. So I'm typing it up right now, but I'll drop the link to their website now. So if you want to look through that, they also have contact information and they know way more than we do if you ever become active within the military, either before or during your time at Wichita State. Right. I think we caught up for the most part with questions. Oh, as a junior in high school graduating, going to college in the fall of 2026, don't get an ACT transcript until June. Is there a solid deadline on transcripts or is it just sooner the better?
Okay, so if you're meaning for like registration class building wise, we would rather see everything as soon as possible so we can make sure we're building a schedule that doesn't include classes you don't need. Um, if you won't have your ACTs until then, that's okay. We can still build you a schedule. Just make sure you make note that you're planning to still take it. So if we need to avoid a class that you might not need based on your results, we can. I don't know if there's a deadline as far as ACTs for admissions merit purposes. That's more of a Quinn question.
Yeah, I believe same mentality of we'll take it. Whenever you get it, we'll take it. So as soon as you receive it, just email it to us. We will get that attached to your application. So if it does affect anything, we will let you know. Whenever there's a change, either to whatever your application status or financial aid, you'll always receive an email about it, essentially giving you an update, or it'll all be in your student portal. So just send it to us whenever you have it. All right, on the enrollment questionnaire, Raven, so still for you, there's a question stating if you've taken any prior college credit. Oh, sorry, hold on, my chat just moved down. How would I answer that when it asks for the class number?
Good question. So, what it's referring to is like when you took college credit, whether it was dual or something else, that class is going to be labeled something like if it's English Composition 1, its label is going to be ENGL 101. That's what we're wanting to see because that code tells us how it will transfer into Wichita State. So just do your best to include those codes. We'll more than likely request an unofficial transcript from you anyway, just to double check everything. But including those codes is really kind of just a big piece. So just that like 3 or 4 letter and then a couple numbers after is the most common that you'll see.
Another question for you, Raven. When do we need to be enrolling? Now or May 1st?
Great question. If you have not done your RSVP for orientation and the enrollment questionnaire, do it ASAP. So the sooner you do it, the sooner we can put you in classes. So that means that we might be able to put you in a better time of day, a better professor, meeting more of your preferences, stuff like that. So as soon as possible, if you are ready to, commit to Wichita State and get enrolled, do it now. Don't wait because the longer you wait, the harder it is for us to build you a good schedule that you and I both like and approve for you.
Also for you, Raven, if there's a student still in college classes and they're not finished yet, but still need to fill out the questionnaire, how would that work until after he's done with the classes?
Good question. Still fill out the questionnaire. Just put like behind the college class, just put in progress. And then when you send over an unofficial transcript, it'll show us that it's still in progress. That's okay. When we build your schedule, we're going to make the assumption that your student will pass. If they don't, we'll have that conversation later down the road, but go ahead and still fill out the questionnaire for the same reason. Let's get you enrolled. Let's get you in those better class times that we can while we have them.
Also for, I think you, Raven, or maybe the orientation RSVP screen, when it says like art emphasis, would that include graphic design or do I need to get more specific than art emphasis?
Okay, good question. I actually know the answer to this in case Aaron does not, because it gets a little confusing with fine arts. So any art major when you first start at Wichita State is going to be labeled art emphasis. That doesn't get updated to your specific like graphic design or painting or whatever that specific thing you're looking at. That doesn't get updated until later throughout your college progress. So if it says art emphasis, you are exactly what you need. We'll figure you out as you get through your first couple of classes. So don't panic if it says that. You're right on track. It's good to go.
Thank you. The most recent question is, should I send a non-official transcript before I graduate? Because you're admitted, we have all of the things we need for your admissions profile. The only thing we need is once you graduate, we'll need your official transcript. So if you send us a non-official transcript, we won't really do anything with it. We'll just attach it to your profile, but it doesn't really do anything. It's once you graduate and have your graduation date, that's when we need your official transcript for this purpose. So really, I think you're fine until you graduate. So you have some time left.
Well, sort of. I'm
Kind
gonna kind of. So when you do the questionnaire, advisors will request potentially unofficial transcripts, but don't panic. When we do request those, we'll tell you how to send them and who to send them to. For admissions purposes, just
You don't need them.
don't even worry about it until then. Until someone tells you we need it, just don't panic. We'll tell you we need it.
Yeah. So really, all in all, check your email. And you've probably heard this
Yes.
many times in your life so far, maybe recently this past year, but check your email. All right, new question. If I've done all of this, do you need to log into Blackboard before I make an advisor appointment?
I suppose that's a me question. So Blackboard is really your portal for all things classwork. So if you're not doing summer classes and you're starting in the fall, like I assume most of you are, you don't really need to log into it until closer to the start of classes. If you're making an advisor appointment, you can do that anytime. You can do that through your portal without even looking at Blackboard because it's a separate thing. I hope that answers that.
I do have one thing to add on logging to Blackboard. So you all on next Friday will be receiving an email to your Shocker emails or your student email on how to access your pre-orientation, which is in Blackboard. So it's our kind of take on trying to help you understand the Blackboard learning platform itself. It's also where their pre-orientation experience is. So next Friday, you will be receiving an email to your student email. So if you haven't logged in yet, please do so. You will be getting an email next Friday on how to complete your pre-orientation.
Just kidding. Thanks, Aaron. I totally forgot about that piece.
All right, I was trying to keep up to date with the chat. I believe every question's been asked. If it has not, re-put it in the chat because it's probably gotten buried so far. But if you don't have any other questions, feel free to hop off. You do not have to stay any longer for tonight. Thanks for joining us. But if you still have questions, stay on. We'll love to answer them. Okay, another question. What do we log in? What do we log into our WSU email through?
You can do that through your portal. So your MyWSU portal, which is at www.mywsu, what is that, .wichita.edu. When you sign into that, there's going to be a little tiny envelope icon in the top right-hand corner of your portal page. When you click that little envelope, it'll take you to Outlook. That's your student email. So you can access it through your MyWSU portal.
Next question, is the absolute cutoff date to accept scholarships May 1st? Because I have seen that some of my scholarships are still in review.
I responded, but I'll verbally say it. It's okay.
I see that now.
May 1st is our preferred date to have all offered scholarships be accepted. However, you can accept it after May 1st. We prefer it to be done by June 1st, but the absolute latest would be July 1st. May 1st is our deadline to see where we are in need-based aid and other aid funding sources, such as merit scholarships. So just the sooner the better would be really helpful for our office. Thank you.
Right. I think that up to date with all the chats, unless I'm not seeing a question. If you have any other questions, we're here to help. Okay, can you please give a, nope, that's a question for someone DMing me about engineering department, which I am happy to provide. But other questions about orientation, enrollment, financial aid housing, next steps?
I did see a question, Quinn, that was, what do we log into our WSU email through? And that would just be through your MyWSU portal. It's mywsu.wichita.edu. And you log in with your MyWSU ID number and your password. And then once you're in there, you will see an icon that's a red, white, and blue kind of envelope, and it says email. So then you can just go from there and access your email through that way. At least that's how I would do it.
Oh, one pro tip from me too, the first time you go to log into your portal, if you haven't done that yet, it's going to make you set up a password. There's a couple things that are helpful to know when you go to make that password. So I'm going to just drop them in the chat so that you aren't making 30 different passwords and getting frustrated. There's a couple pro tips from IT that I'm just going to drop. So the first time you do that, it's not super like nerve-wracking.
Another question in the chat. If I'm working on associate's degree, will my general education credits transfer from the community college I attended once they receive the credits? Yeah, Raven.
That's a me question. Sorry, I was typing. Yes. So if you're working on an associate's degree, especially if it's specifically in Kansas, that associate's degree will cover your gen eds. If it is outside of Kansas, those credits will still transfer and most likely to your general education, but we wouldn't be able to say that for certain until we saw your transcripts to tell you how those credits are transferring in. Thank you, Logan. There's also a transfer gateway, so you can take a look at how those things will transfer. Most likely, the answer is yes, you'll be done with gen eds and you'll be good to go.
Does every major have the Kansas core classes like English 100, etc.? I do not have much insight on this. Raven, do you know much about this? Okay.
Yeah, so you're probably referring to your core classes like English 1 and 2, public speaking, and college algebra. And the answer to that is yes. KBOR, the Kansas, the big guys that tell us colleges what we can and cannot do, they have required that. So no matter what major you are here at Wichita State, you'll need English 101, 102, Com 111, and Math 111. We call those your core classes.
Good question. Any other questions? Will Newman algebra transfer? I've already taken it from them. like from Newman University here in Wichita, I'm assuming. So, okay. Yep.
Yep, probably. We'll just need your transcript to say for sure. But if it's labeled college algebra, it's probably college algebra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What will we need to do if we had an IMP?
Is an IMP like an accommodation similar to like an IEP? I'm assuming if yes, we have an office here on campus known as the Office of Student Accommodations and Testing. They would be your first stop, so they would require you to just check in with them to see what you were receiving previously at your high school, and then any documentation they need, they'll let you know that, and then they'll work with you to see what accommodations you can carry forward into college. So if you were receiving some before, you more than likely can receive some in college, but you need to work with their office. Someone, me. Quinn, someone will drop the perfection. That's their link. Touch base with OSAT and they will walk you through each step that you need to get through to get accommodations here at Wichita State.
All right. We have a few more minutes left of this evening, so if you have any questions, we will answer them as quickly as we can. If not, feel free to explore our website as well or contact all of our offices. We'd love to help you. Okay, another question. When it comes to transferring credit, will we be required to take tests over the material or just pay for the credit hours? For example, I got a 5 on the APUSH exam. Does that mean I have to take a test over history to test out of that credit?
Great question. So if you're doing AP exams or IB exams, the exam credit already. So like if you got a 5, that 5 will transfer over to us. We just need that official score to be sent to Wichita State. Um, If you did not take the exam, but you're paying for the credit from a college institution, that would also cover it. If you do both, you will not get credit for both. You would get credit for one or the other. So you'd either get credit for the AP exam or paying for the college credit. Does that make sense?
Thanks. Logan has dropped more links into the chat as well. He's very speedy with it. All right, I know our numbers are dwindling. Okay, for the GPP program, since I have taken multiple college courses, would those transfer? Would I have to retake those?
Good question. So GPP, as long as you took the college courses while still in high school or the summer following, those will still transfer in and be acceptable for the program. Once you start in the fall, so in August, you have to take all college credit with Wichita State. So as long as it's before that point, it'll still transfer in and you'll be fine.
Okay, last question. Do I have to take any special major for plane trigonometry? I have no idea.
I do not know the answer to this. Send me an email. I'll drop it. Ask me in an email, and I'll do some digging to figure out what you're meaning and how we would answer that.
Yeah, because maybe it just kind of depends what you want to study. So maybe that's where you have to look at all of our, I'm going to assume maybe engineering majors. Maybe there's one that's more fit for you than another based off of your likes. So if you're really liking that plane trigonometry, maybe there's a major that fits that passion a little bit more than others. So you can always look at that on our website. I know we're referencing our website a lot, but wichita.edu/majors has a list of all of our majors, and you can categorize it by college, so you can always narrow it down from College of Engineering. That's just the example I'm using. So College of Engineering, and you can click in all of the majors to see how they differ from each other because they are all very different from each other. Okay, I know we are past our time a couple of minutes, so I know again we're dwindling down in numbers. Feel free to reach out to any of our offices if you have any questions. Otherwise, you are free to head out for the evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out. If not, ask it right here. We can answer it really quick for you. And I know we've dropped a lot of information tonight and a lot of links, but I assure you everything is still on our website. Okay, we still have some folks here. Any last minute questions we can help you with? Okay, we're still dwindling down in number. All right, there's no other question. I am going to, thank you, Savannah. You have a great night as well. Thanks for joining us. Okay, then I am going to stop recording. Oh, one last question. Okay, for the IB credit, are the hours cumulative? For example, would getting 6 on Spanish give me a 9 credit hours that are listed? Great question.
More than likely, yes. If you're looking at that IB chart, if it says getting a 6 on the exam equals out to those credit hours, then that's how it would transfer in for us. We again just have to have that official score to be able to say yes for certain.
So when in doubt, if you have any documentations of anything regarding credits, classes, whatever, just send it our way. Okay, I think we are good to wrap up. I'm going to click stop record.